All right. So today we're going to talk a little bit about AI in education. We're going to talk about the ethics behind using AI, and then some tips and tricks that you can use to help you save time and mental energy in your own classrooms. So, like Manny said, my name is Alexandria Adams. I am an instructional technology coach. I love my work. I love being able to work with teachers and help them improve in any way they want. If you are on X or on Blue Sky, please feel free to follow. I'm Mrs. Adams Tech on both of those. And so I would love to interact with you, get to know you guys. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm also the Edpuzzle ambassador in Virginia. So if you're in Virginia, hi, feel free to email me or let me know if you need anything.
My name is Carrie Fulgham, and I'm the coordinator of digital learning, like Manny said, which comes with a whole bunch of responsibilities. But my favorite is doing trainings and working with teachers on how to integrate technology in their classroom. Um, and I just finished year 15 in education. I started in the classroom, went to instructional coach role, and then I got to be a administrator for a year when we were doing virtual school, which was super fun. And then I've been the coordinator of this department for a few years now. I also am the coordinator of esports within our district. I work with all the software purchases and integrations and rostering and all of those pieces. And right now, I am leading up our AI integration within our district. We went through an entire year of creating policy and plans and protocols and all the things. And we are in the process right now of all the training so that we will be up and running next year, allowing students to use AI within the classroom. So excited to be here with you today and excited about this presentation and the work that Edpuzzle has done within the last year to really enhance what we're providing for our teachers in the classroom.
So, what we're going to talk about today, we're going to talk about what AI is, thinking about the ethical considerations behind using AI. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the large language models that you could use, and then we're going to talk about Edpuzzle Teacher Assistant, which is the AI tool that's embedded into Edpuzzle and how that can help save you time in your classroom. So, first things first, what is AI? AI are computers that are programmed to think like humans, but they can't really make decisions as if they were a human, right? They focus on various sets of input. It could be images, text, and that helps computers find patterns. And they can then use those patterns to help answer questions or help you make decisions. But they're not actually thinking, right? That's the key to AI is that while it's really great at recognizing patterns, it's not great at coming up with something brand new. And so we have to think about what it was trained on and what that looks like anytime that we're using artificial intelligence. It is not a subject or a substitute for the human element, right? It is not going to take our jobs. It's going to make our work easier and it's going to be a great thought partner, but it is not going to take our place, right? Kids are not going to learn the same way from artificial intelligence as they do with a person that sees them for who they are. So it's great for helping get ideas down and saving time, but we need to have that human in the loop always. I found this quote when I was looking at information about artificial intelligence, and I thought this really resonated with me. The most important thing about artificial intelligence may be that it shows us what it can't do, and so reveals who we are and what we have to offer, right? Um, Artificial intelligence is not going to make those connections with our students. It's not going to be a shoulder for them to cry on when they're having a bad day. It's not going to be the person they go to tell about the exciting thing that happened to them over the weekend, right? It is a tool, but it cannot replace us. And that was from David Brooks in a New York Times opinion piece. And so I just thought that that was, especially with teachers and all of us kind of being wary about artificial intelligence. I think that it's super important that it can't replace us.
So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the ethics behind AI. And the first thing I want to start with is that it's only as good as what you feed it. So when you're looking at your generative AI or your large language model pieces in your softwares, um, when you are vague and are simplistic with your prompts, then you're going to get information back that can always be interpreted widely. So when you're thinking about how to use AI, just think about how you would give instructions to a kindergartner, right? You're going to be very specific, you're going to be very detailed in that. And then always reviewing the output. So, a lot of the things that we've looked at, the information that we get is great and it's helpful, but it's not perfect. I've never gotten anything back that was a perfect piece. So making sure that you're always reviewing that content and adding a human component to it. Like Alex just got to talking about, the information is great and it's eliminating so much time that we've spent in Google or in a search database where we were searching for information. It's helping us with all those components. But when you take all that information, you still have to add the human component to it. You have to add the emotion, you have to add the skill set that you have and make it applicable. One of the things that we've seen that's really interesting is the bias that you see coming out of some of these prompts. So when you're using AI, just be aware of that. One of the things like um, your bias is based on your perception of things, right? And so when you put something in, you're going to get something back. And I think it's important that you stop and think about what does that look like, not just from my perspective, but overall. So you have to look at it from a very broad perspective. And think through all the situations. You know, one of the things that we saw, we put in a prompt that asked for an image of a successful business person, and all of the images that were generated were men. Well, if you put that in front of a group of men, that might be fine. But if you put it in front of a group of successful business women, then they might feel a little bit different about that. So just keeping in mind that the bias is not just from your perception, but it's from overall and thinking that through when you're using those prompts in what you're doing. So some of the questions to consider, I pulled these from the Center of Teaching Innovation, which I thought was really interesting. Is the content accurate? Obviously, that's something that we always are going to look for. And another one that I thought was really helpful in this was, um, how does the information generated impact or influence your thinking on this topic? Um, I guilty of using AI for a lot of things. And one of the things that I've found is when I plug in a prompt, the information I get back is a learning tool for me. A lot of the information is coming back and teaching me things that I didn't originally know about that content. So making sure that when you're reading that, that you're keeping in mind the content that you put in and what you can learn from what's generated, but also the influence that you may see from that.
And remembering too that, like, however we use it, we're modeling it for our students as well. And so if we go in and we use it as the solution, that's what they're going to see. So if we're going to use it, we got to keep that whole process in mind, that we're not just taking what AI gives us and spitting it out to them, but that we're thinking about these questions too.
Absolutely. And you also have to keep in mind that as you're using AI, it's learning from you basically. And so if you're using it in one way and you go in and you plug in a different prompt, I am in a room that just turned the lights out. But if you're using a prompt that you like what you get back from it, then it's going to continue to build on that. And in the classroom, it's so important that we keep a variety of information. So we need to make sure that we're always reassessing that information as it comes out. So A couple of the large language models, we were going to just talk about ChatGPT here, but I wanted to add in that there's really three big ones out there right now. You have ChatGPT, which most people have heard of, but then you also have Claude and Gemini that are really rising. And so, one of the things that we were going to just discuss here is making sure that you're aware of different ones. I have found it very beneficial to plug in my same prompt to all three, and looking at what's different. I think you'll be amazed at the information that you pull from different large language models when you are looking at those. So, just keeping in mind that they are pulling from different databases, they're not all using the same information. So, um, you should also keep those in mind. I said keep in mind a lot there, but
It's
you
all
know what I
right.
mean. Some of the pros and cons. So I know within our district, as we've walked through this AI navigation, we had a whole lot of hesitation and a whole lot of excitement. And I think both are valid. Um, when we're looking at what it can do for us, we've seen a shift in the job force. We've seen a shift in what college is requiring from students. And so the pros are that there are opportunities for students out there that we didn't have years ago. They have access to things that we could only dream about. And they're learning on a whole different scale than we're used to. Um, it's going to help our educators who are struggling right now, right? We don't have enough educators anywhere in the world. And we could use all the help we can get. And so, helping with time management, helping with creating engaging activities, giving accountability for making sure that we're doing things across the board equitably, and also giving access to students that may not have had the access that they needed. Um, when I was in the classroom a few years back, it was really hard if I had a student that was an English second language learner, to provide them content in their original language when they needed it. And now that's such an easy piece. So it's providing opportunities that we haven't had. And then on the con side, just making sure that we're not overusing, misusing, relying on this instead of learning. This is a tool that we can use to enhance learning instead of um, replace the learning. And I think that's what you'll see throughout most of it. And used correctly, that's exactly what AI is going to do for us. So I'm glad to see all the thumbs up.
Well, and if you think about it too, when calculators became a big thing, everybody was like, oh, people aren't going to know how to do math anymore, right? It was that same sort of, oh, this is scary. It's going to take it over. But, we learned how to use it. We've, to some extent, taught students how to use it properly. And so that's really where the big stretch is going to be, is that we're using it correctly and we're showing our students how to use it correctly as well.
100%.
All right, and so now we're going to talk a little bit about Edpuzzle Teacher Assistant. So, those of you who are familiar with Edpuzzle and use it frequently, you probably know about this. But if you don't, this is a fabulous little built-in tool that's going to help making video quizzes a whole lot easier. And so, when you go into Edpuzzle, right, and you go to find a video and you click questions, you'll see right here with the big highlight, it says Teacher Assist. It's in beta. So it's not 100% perfect, but it's going to help. And if you just click that little button right there, it is going to um, generate questions based on the video. And I believe that it uses the transcript of the video to help do that. So if you have a video that maybe doesn't have a transcript that goes along with it, or like closed captioning, it may struggle. So just be aware that it may not work with every video, which is also why it's in beta. And so once you click that button, right, it will help you generate. You can pick whether you want open ended, multiple choice, or both types of questions. And it will generate questions that go along with the video and put them at the correct timestamps in the video, which is super cool as well. So if you do that, you'll see here at the bottom of the little video, we've got all these little purple hash marks, and that's where all of those questions are going to be located in the video. And then you can choose whether you want to use these questions or discard them. You can also then go in and add your own questions and edit any questions that are already there. And so I think that is a fabulous way to, save some time while you're creating videos for Edpuzzle. But also, again, just because they're there doesn't mean that they're going to be a great question or that the timestamp is at the exact right place. So you need to go back and make sure you're reviewing all of that. And so that is one great piece about Edpuzzle that might help save you some time. Oh, I see in the chat we have some questions about the impact of AI on the environment. Oh, that is a loaded question. And I 100% agree that we shouldn't be using it all the time just for silly things because of the environmental impact for sure. And I just hope that it gets better as time goes on. It's not so, exorbitantly exhaustive on the environment to be able to run these things. Who knows? We shall see. But I'm totally with you 110%. Like people who are constantly taking pictures and running them through the generators drive me nuts. So I totally get it. But remember too that whenever you are doing anything with the teacher assistant in Edpuzzle, you still have control over the questions that you're using or not using and what they look like and editing them and editing their timestamps and all of that. So you are the one in control. Don't just take the questions and run, right? We wouldn't tell our students to plug it into AI and give it to us as the answer. So we need to not do that as well when we're working with something like an AI generator for these questions, right? Take them, look at them, make sure the timestamps are accurate, the answers are accurate, and go from there, right? Do your due diligence as a teacher because that's what we were hired to do. That's where our joy is, right? So make sure that we keep doing that. We have in this slide deck, we have some links to some resources and the online PD. The online PD is going to take you to the Edpuzzle certification page, and the resources are going to take you to get some resources about AI and how that works. You will have access to a view-only version of the slideshow at the end of the presentation sometime later today. So feel free to take a look at those. And then just to kind of wrap up, we just have a few questions that you might want to think about and put in the chat. The first one, how might the use of Edpuzzle in your classroom shift the way students engage with critical thinking and creativity? How can we as educators ensure that human connection and instruction stay at the heart of our classrooms? And how can we use Edpuzzle and AI to do better things for our students? So keep those in mind as you work with your students. And then if anybody has any questions or comments or tasteful jokes, we are happy to answer them.
Yeah, AI is always like a great topic because the chat, like, how do we, like, I'm out of the classroom, so all this is like new to me. I mean, obviously the puzzle I know, but
right,
students, like the ethical way to use it? Because I've heard some language arts teacher says like, I need you to write your essay with AI, and then you gotta fix it.
Yeah. I mean, anything to get the process of thinking about writing, right? It's not about that end product. I mean, it can be, but really it's about the steps along the way that get you there. And that's where the work should be focused, not so much on the solution.
Also, the flip side of that, like one of the things that we're asking some of our teachers to do is have the students do the paper and pencil and then upload it and get feedback and get corrections, because that's something that is very job relevant, very career relevant. When you type out an essay in Word document, Google Docs, whatever, you're automatically getting feedback as you go. And so giving them that opportunity to get the feedback and the corrections after they've written the content is also helpful. It can be like a peer assist.
You have to analyze all the things, and for that they need to know what they're writing about.
Right.
Yeah, there was an AI conference that I attended in San Diego Q, and they said that like the presenter had AI write the introduction for the presenters, and I'm like, that is not accurate. But we would not know. It's like this is what it is. So you have to give it to your students, and then they have to figure it out, how to make it better or how to make it accurate. But for that, they need to know. So it's yeah. Anyways.
Right, because it uses patterns, so it's just pulling random information. It doesn't know anything about those people, so that's
Yeah.
always funny to see what it does do.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty. There was a question which I am not familiar with, the red light, green light, and when to use.
So that would be like, and I think I kind of caught it while we were talking, but like having a visual cue for students, like this assignment is a red light assignment. We are not going to use AI at all. Versus, it's a yellow assignment. You can use it to help you brainstorm, but the final product needs to be yours. And then like a green light assignment would be something where you can work hand in hand with AI, but you need to show a process that you've used AI so that we as the teacher can see kind of where that interaction took place. I've seen some good ones from a couple colleagues of mine. If I see anything, I will add it to the presentation later, so that if you guys keep a link to the view only, I will see if I can find some cool visuals for that red light, yellow light, green light, so that you guys can have it for reference.
I actually developed one for our district that I can link.
Awesome.
So ours is not red light, green light, but it's the same idea. We did a tier level. So a tier 1 would be no AI use, all the way to a tier 5, which is free reign. And we got some pushback on including the tier 5. And one of the things that we got a lot of teachers that were like, we don't need tier 5. Like, there's no reason for a kid to have full usage of AI on a project and not have any sort of self thought in it, right? But one of the things that made us keep that piece was that our CTE, our career technology education teachers, especially the ones that are teaching coding and programming, that career field is shifting so much right now because of AI that they needed that piece, because a lot of what they're doing is having AI develop code and then evaluating what AI has developed. And so we have a protocol that all of our teachers are required to use, and they're required within the assignment instructions to include what tier level that assignment is at. And that also gives accountability for any issues that might arise. Some of the legal issues that have come up are all about communication. The student wasn't told they couldn't use AI or those kind of things. And so we're putting that on the teachers of communicating it within the instructions. And then once that burden has been lifted, then if there's an issue, then it goes to the student learning. And so if the student can communicate the learning after the fact, then that's where they'll either be held accountable or not on that. So I can definitely share our protocol that we've developed.
Yeah, the tier list. That's awesome.